the past childhood experiences, the past trauma is a huge one. The gagging is a huge one. The sounds is a huge one. So many people do not like the sounds, and there's ways to get through that. So everyone's different, there's polar opposites on what someone needs, but whatever they need, we accommodate. And I feel that's all dental professionals. We just want to accommodate. We just want to do our job to give you a good, healthy mouth, and we'll make it comfortable for you.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to this episode on the Happy Practice Playbook. I'm Mo Jones, and in each episode of the show, you'll hear conversations with dentists, office managers, staff, and specialists who know how to create a happy practice. Today, we're joined by Whitney DiFoggio and Alex Westerhoff, co-founders of TeethTalkGirl.com, a consumer-focused oral health informational website. Whitney is also a registered dental hygienist, and Alec oversees the day-to-day operations for TeethTalkGirl.com. Alex, Whitney, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having
Hello.
us.
Thanks for having
This
us.
is fun.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I mean, it's always a good time here at the Happy Practice Playbook, but I'm super excited about our topic today and just getting right into it.
Yeah.
It's just going to be good. So, of course, we'll start with our statistic, and it is 80% of Americans have some kind of dental fear. How do you guys help practices overcome that?
Yeah, isn't that wild when you hear that? Like 80%. That's like a lot of people, right? So I'm a dental hygienist, like you said. And then I also have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/teethtalk, where that's where more than one-on-one in the op with my patients on my YouTube channel is probably where I really realized this statistic, right? Because more people are watching my YouTube videos than I see every day in the office. Um, I think what we realized is that communication is everything, right? Through my YouTube videos, exposure is really helpful. When patients tell me, or viewers tell me that they're watching my videos, and they'll be like, wow, just seeing this procedure, even seeing a dental cleaning or something, just seeing it makes me feel so much less stressed because I can see it. Like, now I know what you were doing in my mouth, right? So that's one huge thing. And then the other thing is communication, right? Like Alex and I were talking about how, you know, if we're going back into the office, right? I always tell my patients or viewers that if you are someone who is scared, or you have some kind of fear or past trauma, which is a big one, of going to the dentist, tell the front desk when you call and schedule. Like, tell them, hey, just so you know, I have this fear, like, this bothers me, this, I'm scared of gagging, I'm scared of whatever your situation is. Tell them so they can better accommodate you ahead of time when you come in. So it's and not, I think it's good communication is key.
So, and you mentioned that is a huge percentage, right? 80%. And you would think, at least me, that because we live in a world where you can basically get any information you want at the tip of your fingers, that maybe that would be less. So why do you think it's still so high, even in a world where we just have technology and information at our fingertips?
Totally. Like Alex was telling me this morning too, that I read the YouTube comments like every single night. I love to see what everyone's saying about the videos. And I think the thing is that there's so many people who still have not yet scheduled an appointment. So it's like, once you do it, it's like ripping the Band-Aid, right? Like, once you do it and you find a dentist you trust, you are very comfortable in your situation, you told them what your fears are, they can help you overcome them. And then I feel like the more people that do that and take the first step, that percentage will go down, in my opinion. Because I don't know, Alex, if you want to share that email that you're telling me about this morning, but there's so many people who have not been in so long.
hmm Yeah, it's something that, it just kind of compounds with time. It starts with, maybe you skip your first cleaning and then don't reschedule it. And then 6 months turn into a year, turn into 2 years. We had an email this morning from someone reaching out saying, like, I started watching some of your videos and, articles on the website. It really inspired me to start taking care of my, oral health again and flossing and things like that. And he shared with us that he hasn't been to the dentist in over 30 years. And he's, worried about that, embarrassed about that. So he's been, over the last few months starting to take care of his oral health and, start flossing and things like that. But he's embarrassed now to go into the practice, schedule an appointment. He reached out asking if we knew anyone in, New York City that we would trust to, kind of work with him on that because 30 years is such a long time. He doesn't even know, where to start really. So the 80% number is such a large number, and hopefully with time we can kind of slowly chip away at that number. But it just all starts with starting somewhere. Just waking up one day and saying, hey, I want to start taking better care of my overall health.
It's so hard to bring yourself to do it, right? When you don't want to do it. And I think it's just really comforting to know that like our videos, our website, things like that can help inspire people to make that step. And the comment section is unbelievably uplifting and amazing. They all help each other out. Like, hey, like someone will be like, I'm scared to, I need to schedule a root canal. I'm scared to do it. Someone else will piggyback. A random person will be like, hey, I actually just had a root canal.
Hmm.
It wasn't bad. Just tell them you need this, and that. Like they all help each other out. And like, it's so cool to like really show that it's not that scary once you, um, like dentistry is so different now than it once was. We are all about pain management, making you comfortable, and we can make it a fun experience.
So when you mentioned it, we can use that patient, for example, who hasn't been to the dentist, right, in
Yeah.
30 years. How would you advise offices to combat that? Because I think initially, right, as providers, our listeners want to give that care. And if there's a lot of issues going on, that can seem really scary to the patient. It's like, this is why I didn't want to come in. I knew something's wrong, but I didn't want to hear it. How can we bridge that gap of still showing care to the patient, but then not continue to overwhelm them and scare them?
Totally. I have a bunch of YouTube. I could like talk. I feel like this is good. I'm so glad we're talking about this because I could talk about this forever. I have a bunch of videos that have different examples on, for example, I always use the patient who's nervous about gagging because I know like X-rays and like a lot of things can make you very uncomfortable. I have videos on both for the clinician and for the patient, like how to not gag during X-rays. You know what I mean? There's so many different tips and tricks and little things you can find that will work for you. It might not work for everyone, like I have a list of like 20 different things to try. And I have some people, like I give you the first three like big ones, and then like other things that there's all these little tips and tricks. Like, I mean, we all know the breathe through your nose, wiggle your toes. We know like certain things, but I compiled a list of so many different random things that really help. And it's like a light bulb goes on. A patient, either the patient or the clinician, because then the clinician knows to tell the patient, oh, I never heard of this one, and because a lot of those I didn't hear of before I did all the research and make those videos. But it's really cool that there's all these little things that can make a big difference, right? And the communication, and then all the little tips and tricks, whatever the individual fear is, we can work together and make it a better experience for the patient.
Gotcha. And just overall, do you feel when you're looking at the dental fears that people have, is it the same kind of fears or it really is a wide array and varies from person to person?
I think it's I hate to say both, but I think there is a lot of them, but the most common ones, there are common ones, right? Like I feel like there are every so often I'll hear something like, "Oh, I really haven't heard that one," but we're going to figure it out together. But I would say every so often those happen, but more likely than not there are the past childhood experiences, the past trauma is a huge one. The gagging is a huge one. The sounds is a huge one. So many people do not like the sounds, and there's ways to get through that. And those are probably my top three that just like came to my head. But yeah, to know that you're not alone. That's the other thing. I always tell my patients, like, you're not alone. Don't worry. Um, that's a big thing. You're not alone. And I kind of go in that in my anxiety video as well. But exposure too, that's probably we always say I have a lot of videos that are just procedural. They're not at all like, I mean, they're still educational, but most of mine are like, hello, this is what you do for this. But the procedure ones are just showing a procedure, like an implant or whatever. And you can watch it be done like in an animated way, or I have like in the mouth. You get to choose which one you're feeling. And I've had so many comments that it's just like, wow, just seeing this makes me feel so much better because what you hear, because it's your mouth, what you're hearing, you are thinking the worst. You're like, what are they doing in my mouth, right? As a patient. But it's hard for the dentist or the dental hygienist or whoever's working with you, it's hard to explain what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like, don't worry, I'm just doing this. But when they can see it in a video form, I've had so many people tell me that helped me because now I knew you weren't like cutting my head off or something. Like now I know it was just, blah, blah, blah. So I think exposure helps so much. Everyone's different. There's some people who don't want to see what's going on. And in that case, right, then I say, do you want me to tell you random stories? Like, that's fine. I'll tell you about my life all day to not think about being at the dentist. So everyone's different, there's polar opposites on what someone needs, but whatever they need, we accommodate. And I feel that's all dental professionals. We just want to accommodate. We just want to do our job to give you a good, healthy mouth, and we'll make it comfortable for you.
Awesome. So, as you're talking about visuals, so I personally, I'm not someone that goes on YouTube a whole lot,
Yeah.
but I am on TikTok,
Hmm.
like a lot of people. And so I'm thinking when I do see any kind of procedures, things that I see it on TikTok, and honestly, I feel like it freaks me out more.
Okay, so
Would
you're
you say just in, would you both say maybe TikTok is leading to maybe some of this dental fear as well, or not?
good. That's a very good point. And oh my goodness, how do you even talk about TikTok without taking 5 of your hours today? But you know, TikTok is a fine line. I think exposure is great, and I think awareness is great. I love how TikTok makes more awareness to all these different medical professionals. There's dermatologists, there's this, it's just so cool. I love awareness. But I do think there's a fine line with TikTok because it's such a short amount and people are just squeezing stuff in there without the full story, or they're showing scary things like you've probably seen, like tonsil stones coming out of the throat. I don't know, there's a lot of weird things that you're like, whoa, I didn't need to see that. Right. But I guess say I have more reservations with TikTok just because that's the thing, like, how does one decide? I don't know. How does one decide if you're not in the dental or healthcare profession? How do you know if this is like a legitimate thing or not? Because it's so quick. TikTok's boom, 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 boom. And you don't even get to hear the credibility of the
Mhm.
person posting it. Like, at least on YouTube, usually people introduce themselves. I am so and so. But sometimes you just don't know. Like, you're like, what did I just watch? So, yeah, TikTok, there's a lot of bad trends out there too. And then people get on trends. I don't know. Yeah, I'm indifferent.
Yes, as soon as you mentioned tonsil stones, I was like, "Ah." For a spell, that was on my FYP, and I was like, respectfully, no, thank you. I'd just rather not.
Yeah.
But I think too, what effect do you think that has on oral health? These bad TikTok dental trends that you mentioned.
So, the bad TikTok trends, very detrimental to oral health. Literally, I know I keep saying it, but like, I don't even know where to start with which one I could think of. But here's a very easy one. The nail. This was a big one like a few months ago or last year even. But um, the nail files on the teeth. I don't know if you ever saw this one, but people are using nail files and like,
I'm sorry, nail files on teeth? What?
yes. So yeah,
Why?
I know that's
Why?
what I said, but
I hate it here.
apparently, it was a trend because people didn't like their pointy canines. The eye teeth, the canines, um, the vampire
Yeah.
things. Yeah, they didn't like those, so they would file them down with nail files so all their teeth were even. And this was really, really bad because, like, I don't know, like, if like, tooth enamel does not grow back. Once it's gone, it's gone. So you just like file. There's so many. I feel like it's kind of self-explanatory to how that's bad, but I can go into the depth of tooth anatomy if you wanted. But it's just, that's a bad one, self-explanatory. But then there's some that aren't as obvious, right? So like, a
Mhm.
lot of people were doing this thing where they were swishing with hydrogen peroxide daily for 30 minutes every day. This was the trend, 30 minutes. Just imagine your cheeks and your jaw. But
Who has 30 minutes to do that?
So a lot of times what they'll try to do too is they'll try to make it like as a money saver option. Like, hey, this is a cheaper way to do,
yeah,
teeth whitening, or don't get implants, buy this random product and melt it down yourself. And so it's yeah, it's just all over the place. There's a million horror stories on there.
totally, the DIYs. But yeah, and then they're not obvious. Yeah, like the hydrogen peroxide one, you would think, oh, that can't hurt, but it can. Like, if you take away all the good bacteria in your mouth, you're not only killing the good and the bad, but if you're taking away all the good, there's something that's called black hairy tongue. You can Google it if you want. It's called black hairy tongue, and that happens when you mess up the bacterial flora in your mouth. And this was happening to a bunch of people who, not to mention all the sores on your mouth from swishing with peroxide, because when you're whitening with white strips or something, it's only on your teeth. It's not on all the tissues. I could go on and on. There's a lot of bad things that don't seem obvious when you're like, oh, I could swish with hydrogen peroxide. It's like, no, there's so many negatives that so, but yeah, like Alex said, it's usually trying to be a money saver. And it ends up being like, you probably, some of those, like with the nail files, it ends up being you have to spend more money to fix the problem you just caused, you know? You look in shock.
Listen, to quote TikTok, the woman was too stunned to speak. I I have no words. I'm just thinking of myself, for me, right? The nail files and even the hydrogen peroxide seems like common sense, but
Mhm,
common sense ain't common to everybody. But
mhm.
I can't imagine for our listeners and being a provider and seeing these trends and people doing this, and I I'm sure it's, I mean, on the one hand it's like, okay, that's good business cuz they're going to have to come to me for help, but also I feel like
Sad.
I'd be a provider like I don't want to have to fix this problem because
Right.
you're being ridiculous.
Totally. And like,
If you would just listen to me.
exactly. And like as a dental hygienist, I'm all about prevention. Like dental hygienists, we're like preventing, right? So it's especially hard for me because I'm like, no, this is so preventable, right? Like as a dentist, yeah, like, and a dentist feels bad too when they see young kids, doing this, and they're like, wow, like we have to patch up something that this is gonna bother you for the rest of your life, like like veneers. Some kids, there's so many things, but they don't last forever, like veneers. So kids that are doing this at like age 14 or whatever, like weird things, like they have to like kind of deal with this for the rest of their life now, so it is really sad. And we're trying our best to put the good information out there.
Ugh, I'm sorry guys. I'm honestly still in shock. I'm shooketh. Um
Ah,
like, oh my gosh. So a question for that though is, so right, Alex mentioned that a lot of times these bad TikTok dental trends are seen as a money saver. And so how do you advise offices to combat that? Because I think, right, if you have a practice owner or even just a dentist or dental hygienist that says, hey, don't do that, the patient may take it as like, oh, you're only saying that because you want me in the chair and you want my money, and this really could save you money. How do you combat that?
the
It's a
opposite.
good question.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. I think it's continuous education really from a TikTok
Yeah.
perspective. It's you're just going through the apps, watching random things. First it's tonsil stones, then it's teeth grinding, and then you're on to puppies and rainbows, onto some other whatever the algorithm's telling you to think about. Um, but it's really just getting the education and continuing, to work with them. It's hard. It's hard because yeah, the practice might say, hey, this procedure is going to cost a couple $100. Like, well, I could do this off TikTok. Like TikTok would teach me how to do it, and just go on there and learn there. And that's why a lot of the stuff that we created with TeethTalkGirl.com and the YouTube channel was to put that good information out there. So we started doing it before TikTok was really really popular, but just kind of combat some of that bad information out there and get educated patients in those chairs. That really want to take care of their oral health and understand that it's not oral health and dentistry isn't a one size fits all kind of solution. Everyone's different and has different issues and have to work with your healthcare provider to get that care for your mouth.
Totally. And, hearing things more than once is so important. I always say,
Mhm.
like, you can say a million things to the patient when you're in the chair with them one on one. And especially if there's fear involved, right? Like if they're nervous, they might not respond to it well. They're anxious in the chair. You're not able to pay good attention when you're anxious. Plus, dentistry is like a foreign language. So if you're trying to tell patients, don't do this, but do this, but don't do that, it's a lot for a patient to hear when they're getting dental work done. So I think the website and YouTube channel, like you said, Alex, like really helps. Like I kind of started it like as a selfish way in a sense that like I figured, I can't write everything on a post-it note for for my patient, like, at the end. I can't just write everything I just said on a Post-it note. It was easier for me to, like, create a website and say, "Hey, everything I just talked about in 2,000 words, go to teethtalkgirl.com." Like, it kind of it makes it easier to get the information in more places. I mean, if you think about, like, high school, college, being a student, you always wanna kinda read things twice when you're studying, right? Things don't stick when they're not something that you're interested in, right? So, people generally aren't that interested in teeth, so we try to make it stick by getting getting the information from different avenues, and it's been really really cool how it's like a full circle, helps everyone, the dental professionals and the patients.
So, would you find that it's better that offices and practitioners they just continue to give the education as it is to their patients, or if they're aware of the trends going on, not just TikTok but social media, and trying to be preventive and giving information related to that versus just the overall general information? I don't know if that question made
No,
sense.
yeah, I think both. I think both, right. And I think base it on your patient's interest. It totally made sense. You're but no, I just I don't know if I make sense when I answer. But no, I but I really think that I think like Alex was saying too, dentistry is not a one size fits all, and like catering to what your patient's needs are. If they want to like talk about TikTok and TikTok trends, or if I've had patients ask me like, "Hey, I saw this on TikTok. Should I do it?" And I'm usually like, "Probably not," but I'm like, "Here, let me hear it out. Maybe it's okay." But but I think it's just being open with your patients and saying like, "Hey, I'm here to take care of your teeth and your mouth and your overall, dental health. So just please, I think being open and saying, always tell me before you do anything to your teeth. Like as a clinician, please just tell me, let me know, so then I know what's going on and we can maintain your teeth together because that's what you go to the dentist for." So I just feel make it. It's again, it all comes back to communication, right? Communication is key. See what each patient needs.
Now, with TeethTalkGirl.com, you guys have give information and it's really for kind of the masses. So, how do you guys determine what goes on the website, what you're putting on there?
It's a lot of information that we kind of produce is all based on, what's trending, one, so a lot of stuff around, what is, popular on TikToks, right now, Halloween's, a popular topic. So, we have information about, like the Starbucks drinks, the holiday drinks, how bad are those really for your teeth, and, content around that. So, it's for the general public to get, education about any topic, whether it's teeth whitening, why the roof of my mouth is itchy, or also too, how bad are those, Starbucks holiday drinks really for your teeth? How much sugar is actually in there, and the likelihood of you getting a cavity from having those holiday drinks. So the content is all based for the general public. It's all about just getting awareness about the oral health to them, in different ways that they consume it. Whether it's on the YouTube channel and website basically go hand in hand. So if we have a YouTube video, we also have an article on the website, because some people like to read, some people like to watch videos, and we try to, just hit the masses as much as we can and just provide general awareness and importance of oral health to them. And all the stuff is medically reviewed. We have dentists that we work with that actually medically review it all. If things, change in the dental industry, if we need to, update information, that's reviewed, all the time. So we try to just make sure that we put out the best information possible.
Um, Whitney and Alex, you've briefly mentioned it a little bit, but what inspired you to spread that oral health awareness, and what continues to drive that passion?
Totally. Yeah. When I first graduated from dental hygiene school, it all started without a plan. I was just doing it for fun. I was waiting for my dental hygiene license to arrive in the mail, and I was so excited about patient education. I was working as a dental assistant at the time, and I was just so eager to be a hygienist because that's what I just went to school for. And I couldn't do it until my license physically arrived. So I was like, "Oh, I just want to talk about patient education." Long story short, I made the YouTube video. Like I made a random YouTube video about dentistry. I figured, hey, I like making videos. I just learned all about teeth for 2 years in dental hygiene school. Let's. So I made the video, and then I really just did it. Like I don't want to say to just to like amuse myself and have fun, and like maybe someone would learn, but I really didn't think people would watch, right? And then I found out like a lot of people watched that first video and I was like, "Oh, this is kind of cool." Like and then they started asking for more and I was like, "I actually enjoyed that. Maybe I'll make more." And it was very organic, I guess is my answer. I just made a video, people watched, and I kept making videos. But I the reason I continue is because it obviously grew into this whole thing where it's not only a YouTube channel, now we have the website. And it's just so cool that we can really actually help people. I know that sounds like so like I don't know, silly or something, but I when I these comments that people like it is the coolest community that we've kind of like all built together, all the community. I'm like including everyone that watches my videos, like all of us together have all just like asked for more videos. We've built each other up. We've helped people want to go to the dentist. Like everyone is just so positive and knock on wood, I hope it always stays like that. But everyone's so positive and just like wants to help each other. And some people, most of them are just teeth enthusiasts. They're not in the dental world. They just like the health. You know how many like wellness and exercise channels there are now, right? On YouTube it's like people are really excited to take care of their bodies and I think that's really cool because it's really important. That's what life is all about, right? Is to be healthy, happy. And so long story short, that's when it all turned into where Alex really came in. We knew we needed to do even more with that because of all the comments that we're always getting. I think you said we're Chicago based, and I think earlier you said something about that man or woman or whoever it was asked about, do you know any dentists in New York? I started getting a lot of those questions, like, okay, Whitney, like I live in Dallas, I live in Miami, I live like any like, do you know any dentists? And I'd be like, no, I'm in Chicago. I don't know. Like I don't know anyone. So that's how we kind of like built out the next part of our, and now it's if you wanna.
Yeah, we just organically kind of built a huge marketing funnel for people looking for oral health help. All of our basically all of our videos and stuff at the end basically say, "Hey, go to your dentist." Like, here's the general answer for your information, but at the end of the day, make an appointment at your local dentist. And I think that was something that was kind of funny. We didn't realize like many people don't go to the dentist. Like we always made the videos and articles basically just lead to saying go to the dentist, and people are now reaching out to us saying, "We don't have a dentist. I don't have a dentist," or "I just moved here. Do you know a dentist here?" And we kind of built a whole thing for that exact reason with Teeth Talk ads to kind of funnel people to practices that we think are good, good practices that have a good standard of care, do things like that to really kind of help provide patients with a good dental practice near them.
I think that's so great. You're giving that sorry, that patient knowledge and education and extending it further, saying, hey, this is where, the next step is,
Mhm.
right? And now you need to find a provider, and here's what where yes, which I think is so great. And also to what you're saying, Whitney, isn't it absolutely insane when you make a video and you're like, I'm just doing it for myself for fun, and then all of a sudden you see people are watching it and liking it? Like it's wild, at least to me, because
Hmm.
there's sometimes I've made a few TikToks and people's commenting or like how many likes or watching. I'm like, this was like a dumb TikTok I made just because, but wow, people like it. That's crazy.
It makes you feel good. Like, yeah, we're all in this together and like how cool, right? You're like, wow, I can actually like reach other people. So like if I'm going to, I want to do the best thing I can and help people learn more about what I know about. I think that's so cool how we can all have our own niche and like I always use dermatologists, but like I just love following all the dermatology people. I love how like you could learn about dermatology. You could learn
Too.
about that. Yeah, right. And like you could learn about dentistry. You could learn about it's so cool that we can all share our knowledge and I yeah, that's it just feels so good.
Yes, TikTok can be good, but you gotta take it not with a grain of salt, but with a pound of salt. So, because common sense ain't common for everybody.
100%.
We are almost out of time, but we love to leave our listeners with a motivational tip. So, if you could take one page out of your playbook of success, what would it be?
Mm. You know, I always say like not only is like I always just say to like be your I know this is gonna be like what, but I always say like be yourself no matter who you are. If you stay true to yourself and you're not trying to do something because other people are doing it. I started YouTube before TikTok existed, right? And like I don't I love what I do and I just keep doing it. I didn't start it because I wanted to make it do you know, like, I feel a lot of people start things because they want to become something or something, which is fine. That's cool. But I just feel like having a passion and doing it because you really enjoy it thoroughly, that's the only way that like you're gonna be fulfilled. You know what I mean? So I know that probably is a wild thing for dentists, but then or like I know this is like dentists listening, but I really feel that though. Like if you were just doing something to like maybe grow your practice or you're like you're going through all these steps that you don't want to do, like maybe you don't have to do it that way. You know what I mean? Like just because everyone else is doing it doesn't mean you have to. Like I don't know. Like you don't. I think another cool thing is that, and what we've learned through Teeth Talk Girl, is that we have this platform that we love creating. We love making our videos and our articles and our content and all the social media stuff. We love doing it, and we made it where other dentists can hang out with my audience and they don't have to do all that other stuff. They can just like hang out with my audience and like we can all be in this together. You know what I mean? Like if social media is not your thing. Does that make sense? But
Yes.
in all
Yes, it
aspects.
does.
Okay, thank you. I'm like in all aspects, like, you know, like if you like, yeah, that was my only, I can't even think of an analogy, but I don't know if you want to piggyback on that, Alex.
No, I think it's a good point because everyone has different interests. Other people are comfortable doing, talking to, news outlets, talking to the camera. Other people are like, no, I don't want to do that. I just want to, you know, be a dentist. I don't want to do, the social media stuff. I don't want to do blogs. I don't want to do SEO stuff, but that's totally fine with the kind of what we've built. We allow people to kind of advertise on top of our audience and get the information that we've been able to build and get happy patients into their chairs. So it's something that we are really are proud of, and something that we didn't think ever that we would build it into what we have today.
Thank you. You were the spark notes of my answer. I appreciate that. You really cleaned that up for me.
Good old Spark Notes. I haven't used those in a long time. I haven't thought of that website in a long time.
Throwback, I know. So, really, just being who you are.
Yeah.
And honestly, when you guys were talking, it made me think of The Lion King when Mufasa comes to Simba. He's like, remember who you are. I feel like it's kind of like that. Like, there's no need to, change who you are entirely.
Yeah.
To, stick to it and build upon your strengths,
Hmm.
and that will show through.
I
So
love
I give
that.
the most obscure references
That was such
on
a
the show,
good.
man. But that is a wrap for today. Alex, Whitney, thank you so much for being with us. And thanks to everyone listening. If you like what you heard today, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on the next episode. We hope you'll join us next time. It's your girl, Mo Jones.